When students are in a GoGuardian classroom session, they can browse any website allowed by your school administrator. If you want to apply your own additional web browsing rules for your classroom, you can use scenes. With scenes, you can set the learning environment for an individual student, a group of students, or even your entire class with a custom list of web browsing rules that will either allow or block websites while students are in your classroom session. To create a scene, navigate to the Scenes tab in the blue navigation bar in GoGuardian Teacher. Depending on your classroom objectives, you may want to use either an allowed websites list scene or a blocked websites list scene. You can even use both for different groups within your classroom. With an allowed websites list scene, students can only browse the websites you specifically allow in the scene. This is a popular option to ensure students only have access to websites you want to allow for a particular quiz, test, or everyday assignment. Use this button to get started with your allowed websites list. Now, name your scene, select a color, then click Next. Enter a keyword or website for your allowed websites list scene. GoGuardian will suggest sites that might be necessary to accompany your website. You can select Add to include any sites in your allowed list. You can also use quick lists created by your admin or GoGuardian to easily add sites to your list. And you can auto-open tabs when applying a scene, which will automatically open your chosen tab when a scene is applied. You can also limit the number of tabs a student can open when a scene has been applied. When you're done, click Save and your new allowed list scene will be ready to use. After you create your scene, you'll be able to manage them here. You can sort the view by recently used, last modified, or alphabetically. You can also use the settings to edit the websites within the list, rename the list, make a copy, or delete. You can also create a blocked websites list scene to block specific websites that could be distracting during your students' studying or asynchronous learning time. Common websites for a blocked websites list scene include non-educational video or gaming websites. You may set up a blocked websites list here. The steps are the same for both allowed websites lists and blocked websites lists. So be sure to double check that you are in the correct list type for what you're hoping to accomplish. Once you've made a scene, you can now apply it to your classroom session. From an active class session, you can apply a scene to your entire classroom by selecting this drop-down. This will apply the scene to all of your students in your active classroom. To turn off the scene, click here and disable scene. You can also use scenes for individual students or groups by checking the checkbox next to their name and clicking Apply a Scene in the command bar. Then you can use the drop-down to locate the scene for the student or students you have selected. Tap Done to apply the scene. Your students will now be grouped by the scene they have been placed in. You can issue commands to specific scene groups, such as opening a tab or calling them. You can also disable the scene or redirect them to a different scene here. This personalized scenes feature will help you to support differentiated instruction, test-taking, and flexible behavior management plans, helping you serve your students in a more personalized, effective, and differentiated way. To disable scenes for your entire classroom, you can select the drop-down here. Scenes may also be set as a default for your classroom within your classroom settings page. There you have it. Now you can create, edit, and apply scenes to help support your students.